Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to be replacing the stock bumper with an off-road winch bumper. If you're new here, welcome to the channel, and don't forget to subscribe.
Real quick, 1/3 and 1/3 is a half?
2/3.
Can you get... Also, I know I'm a strong, independent woman, but could you open this for me?
1 second. So the bumper I'm going to be installing is from Body Armor 4x4. This bumper is for a Gladiator JT as well as a Wrangler JL. This is their Orion full width front bumper. It does have an integrated skid plate. It will accommodate the factory fog lights as well as 2 cube lights and an 18-inch single row light bar. So I am going to be installing an 18-inch light bar in mine. I actually ordered one from Body Armor 4x4 as well, and I'm gonna be putting some cube lights in, some ones that I've had laying around for a couple of years now. They are from Zeus Lighting from Olympus Off-Road, and unfortunately they are out of business, but I have a lot of their lights, a lot of their cube lights, so I'm going to be installing some on this bumper. So before we do anything else, obviously the factory bumper has to come off, so I'm going to go ahead and get started removing it. So first thing first, we need to remove all of these fasteners here. That way we can pull out this trim piece. There should be about 8 fasteners in total, 2 on the top here, and then 6 along the length of the bumper. These fasteners, the center should just lift up, and then you should be able to get underneath it and pull the fastener the rest of the way out. This is where a trim removal tool will really come in handy. So next thing, we need to remove the splash guard or skid plate. Mine is a Rubicon, so I have a steel skid plate, and it's gonna come off by removing 4 bolts, 2 in the front and 2 underneath. So next thing, we need to disconnect our factory fog lights here. Should just be able to push down on here and easily remove the plug. With the plug removed, we can go ahead and finish removing the entire bumper. We're going to go ahead and remove these nuts. They're an 18 millimeter, and there should be 4 on either side. Now, because I am going to be retaining the factory fog lights, I do need to remove these covers right here. And these covers are easily removed, just more of those fasteners. It looks like there's about 6 of them. With the covers removed, we can now unplug our fog light. And then in order to remove the light, you're going to have 4 7 millimeter bolts. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. Now, because this harness here goes down in and along the front underneath the outer skin of the bumper, we're going to need to remove the outer skin. There's going to be a series of 7 millimeter bolts that are running along the top as well as underneath on the bottom. And there's 1 in this pocket on either side, and you should just be able to lift this portion out of the outer skin. But before you do that, make sure you remove this Christmas tree fastener as well as this one right here. That way you don't get hung up. You can lay this out of the way and then lift out that portion. And now that that's done, all you need to do is remove all the little Christmas tree fasteners. You can pry them out using your trim tool, or you can just cut them out if you're not worried about hanging on to the clips. So now it's time to put the factory fog lights inside the new bumper. Now it gives different directions depending on what fog lights you have, but mine, I have these 4 tab lights, so they will sit in just like so. So how it works is they give you this bracket as well as some small button head bolts to attach it, and then you can set your fog light in. And then they also have some button head bolts with some nuts to mount the lights in. So I'm going to loosely install all the hardware, then kind of adjust this to where it's centered and tighten everything down. Alright, so now I'm going to mount my cube lights in here. Once again, these are from Zeus Lighting from Olympus Off-Road. Unfortunately, COVID kind of killed their business. They are not in business anymore, unfortunately. They did have a lifetime warranty at the time, so hopefully they're nice and good quality. I really like their products, but unfortunately, they're out of business. If you do want some cube lights though, I'll go ahead and leave some links down in the description below. So the cube lights mount square up in the holes over here, and I don't really understand how that works. Body Armor provides these little mesh brackets. That way you can mount them in place. You can mount them and then mount your cube light if you want. But really it's just, if you're not mounting lights, this is a nice little thing to put on there so it doesn't look like you just have this giant hole there. So I'm going to get rid of these. I'm not going to be using these. They will probably go in my scrap pile for a future project. And then they also provide these brackets. They called these the cube light brackets. There's one for the driver's side and the passenger side, and they are different. But honestly, I don't know how this works. And it doesn't say anything in the instructions on how it works. So I feel like this is unnecessary unless they have a light on their website that they sell that works specifically with this bracket. Now my cube light and the hardware that came with it mounts perfectly to the bumper, so I don't have to worry about that special bracket that I can't figure out. So I'm going to get these cube lights in place and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, I got my cube lights installed. Fat fingers, hard to do things. Anyway, so next I'm going to go ahead and flip this up and install the bull bar with a light bar. Oh my gosh. Whew. Would have been bad to smash my watch with a bumper. That would have stunk. That looks good. I like that. Alright, so this mounts right here just like so. Which means I'll probably have to pull it off when it comes time to install my winch. Whatever. I'm not going to worry about that. So in order to mount this, we need to pop off these little rubber tabs that are in here. I'm going to try to figure out a way to show you guys how this goes. Alright, so lifting back up, sliding ever so slightly. So in the kit, there should be 2 of these nut strips here, as well as 4 matching bolts. It also comes with washers and lock washers to fit these bolts. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set this in place where it needs to be. Reach in underneath with our nut plate, get it lined up, and get our hardware started. And once I got that one started, I'm going to go ahead and start this other side over here. Now I just want to try to make it look square before I finish tightening it down. So now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to wait until after my bumper is on the Jeep, and then I'll go ahead and mount this light bar in here. The reason why is because I know I'm going to keep reaching in here to help maneuver everything, and I don't want to reach in and pull on this and break the light bar, because that would suck. So I guess now all that's left on this is to actually get it on the Jeep. So to mount the bumper, we're going to be using these here. So these here, you can reach on underneath and set them on up just like so. And then they give you these little plastic retaining tabs to help hold it in place. That way you can let go, and there it is. Alright, now it's time to set it on the Jeep. So I highly recommend you get a hand with installing the bumper on the Jeep. I honestly tried to do it by myself and it just wasn't working out. It's heavy, it's awkward, I couldn't get things lined up, and let's be honest, it's just dangerous to do it by yourself.
so make sure you get a hand.
So now that the bumper's in place and I've got my hardware loosely installed, it's time to set up for the skid plate. Now the skid plate uses this little bracket right here, and what the instructions say is to feed this flag bolt up through the frame right here, out through that hole, and then that's what attaches that bracket. Now my Rubicon already came with a metal skid plate here, and when I took it off, this bracket was right here, utilizing 2 bolts right here. So I'm not going to use the flag bolt and feed it up through because I already have some nutserts here. I'm just going to use the hardware that came in from the factory and run my bolt on through to install my brackets on either side. And I'm just going to loosely install it. Now it's time to loosely install the skid plate, but before I do, I'm going to go ahead and run my wiring for my fog lights because this is the last opportunity to do so before I cover this all up. So I know that the lighting is bad, but I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how the skid plate is mounted. So the skid plate has these nutserts in it, and it's going to slide up underneath the bumper. And then you can go ahead and put in your hardware. And then where we mounted that bracket, we're going to have this hole right here and this here. We're going to go ahead and run a bolt and a nut through to clamp that down with that bracket we mounted inside earlier.
Alright, now at this point you're pretty much set. You can go ahead and tighten down the rest of your hardware and your install is done.
And that is pretty much it, and it's fully installed with the exception of the light bar. I'm going to go in and we'll take a better look at this in the daylight. So here it is in all its glory. So far, I really like it. I decided not to put my light bar in just yet. I want to wait until I have my wiring done and probably my winch ready to go in place. There is a license plate mount that goes right here on the front for those of you who need a front license plate. Overall, I really like this. It ended up taking me a while longer than I thought it would, but overall, I am really excited for this bumper. The welds look pretty decent. It's a nice, solid build. And I really like the design. I like the way that the bull bar here is shaped. It's not really for structure. It is just solely for a light bar and also to help protect anything. If you drive into the bushes, it'll help keep the bushes from coming up into your grill. And the most important thing is it has my kid's approval. He said, "Wow, Daddy, it makes it look like a battle truck." And now that I'm looking at it, that's the only thing I can think of. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. As always, don't forget to subscribe down there. You can check me out on Instagram at It's Project Venture, as well as the Tickety Talk at It's Project Venture. Thanks for watching. Oh, and I'll leave links down in the description below for this bumper, as well as some light bars. Don't forget to check them out.